Hello, I'm Suggs from the band Madness, and I'm here today to talk about the brilliant new charity Horizons and learn about some of the work they're doing to help children and young people in Haringey and the Enfield communities. I'm joined in the studio today by Tom, who works for Football Beyond Borders, and Lottie and Lowrie, who are both on the programme. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having us.
All right. So come on in, Tom. Tell me about Football Beyond Borders, please.
Of course. So, Football Beyond Borders, we're an education-based charity. We're based in London, the Northwest. Northeast. Apologies. We're also expanding to the Midlands next year as well. And what we do is we work with young people, and we're using sort of like the power of football, but also beyond that, the power of any of their interests or passions to help re-engage them back into education. One of the main things we're looking at is to help prevent exclusions, so help prevent those young people who are at risk of maybe getting kicked out of school and falling off the sort of education system. And as well as that, we're helping to support young people with their social and emotional learning through our curriculum and our football-based activities. And as well as that, we really want to provide opportunities to enable young people to have a successful transition into adulthood as well. So it's really multifaceted. We work with, I think it's about 1,500 young people every week across the country, as I said. And yeah, it's all about, as well as what I said, providing amazing opportunities for our young people like Lottie and Lowrie to experience different things like this. Or earlier in the week, we had an amazing shoot, like kind of a photo shoot with some of our young people. This morning, some of them were involved with some filming with Salesforce. So, we've got our schools working, and we've also got an incredible brand and partnership team who provide these amazing opportunities for young people to really shine, because that's what we do. We put young people first and try and give them their platform as well.
And how did you get involved?
Well, I got involved because, so I did a science degree, I did biology degree. And after that, I realised that I like biology. It's interesting, but I did a few presentations at uni.
I couldn't pronounce it, never mind spell it. Go
you
on.
Couldn't pronounce biology?
Biology.
Biology. You got it. You know it, don't worry.
Go on.
But after uni, I kind of realised, well, I quite like talking to people, quite like doing presentations, and I ended up in a job where I was working in science communication. So I'd go into schools and I'd try and encourage young people to study STEM subjects and eventually go on to university and study it. And then I did that for a bit, did a couple of other jobs working with young people and in schools, worked for a homelessness charity for a bit in their education team. But I realised, like, I like working with young people, I like working with schools, but what's my passion? What's my real passion? And football's one of them. So I think, honestly, I can't quite remember. I think I just typed in football charities on
Perfect
Google.
Combination,
And I was like, that's gonna be an amazing job. So I found FBB. Now here I am now. And I think really what drew me to it is, I think we have an amazing team who sort of lead on our kind of comms and our social media, all that kind of stuff, and the way that they sort of put across our messages and what we do, and putting young people first and showing the enjoyment, the passion, and like the kind of like good energy that we have at FPB. I think they really pushed that out, and I was like, that seems like somewhere I want to work. So a bit of a long-winded answer. But.
Yeah, exactly. That's all the old waffle over.
Yeah.
But fortunately, we've got two girls here who are on the programme. So Lottie, what do you like most about FBB?
I think probably the people that you meet during it, because everyone's like really nice and they're really encouraging. I think it's just it's really nice to meet new people and like to build your confidence and like everything to like help you be your best self.
So how did you find yourself? Did they find you, or did you find it? How did you get into FBB?
So our head of year, I think she picked a few people, and then it kind of just went on from there.
I mean, were you in a bit of trouble at that time? I mean, what was the...
I've never been in trouble at school.
Right.
I think I've probably had, like, I think I've had probably like one detention.
Oh, very
my
good.
whole time at school.
Very good. And you, Lowrie, what are you getting out of this FBB?
I'd say like from all of it, I'm like also getting like a lot of confidence from it, and like I'm learning how to become like my best self, and like I'm learning how to like almost like deal with situations better, because I find that before FBB I was like quite like hard in like difficult situations, but I'd say from it it's like helped me like build like different solutions better.
And so how does it work exactly? I mean, when you go for a session with FBB, do you talk first, after, during, or what happens?
So we do a 2-hour session. So for the first half, we're in class and we'll be doing like whatever's on the programme, and then for the second half we'll be playing football.
And I think, just to jump in, sorry,
Sure, mate.
you mentioned being your best self quite a few times, which is really nice because that shows to me that you've taken on board something of our programme, because one of our projects is Be Your Best Self, right? You might even be doing that now.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about what kind of things you've been learning in that programme and how that relates to being your best self?
Yeah, in Be Your Best Self, we're kind of doing like how to be your best self for yourself and other people. So it's like also how to deal, like Lowrie said, like with hard situations, and like how to build your confidence and like everything like that.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think Lottie and Lowrie are a really good example. You know, I spoke before, and I think Chidi mentioned in our previous conversation about the young people we work with. It's, you know, we've got on one end young people who are, you know, at risk of exclusion and stuff like that, who are probably getting into a little bit of trouble at school and behaviour points and stuff like that. But, you know, as we found out, Lottie and Lowrie aren't necessarily on that kind of end of the scale, but we also work with young people who we know that have so much incredible potential, have so much to offer to school, to the world. There's so many, you know, so many facets of themselves that we just want to bring out. So I think you mentioned confidence a lot, right? And I think that's a big part of what we
nobody
do.
doesn't need a bit of encouragement, and
Exactly.
nobody doesn't need to see their potential shine a bit more.
Exactly.
Yes, with a bit of confidence, which is invaluable. Well, somebody suggested you ask me some questions. I mean, obviously you don't know who I am. I'm an old fart from the 1980s, but is there anything you'd like to ask me?
Probably like are you into football, or were you into football?
Yeah, I love football. Yeah, with absolute passion. You know, but I had this terrible affliction of thinking I was really good at it, which I wasn't.
We've all been there.
You know, and then you start learning that you have to do training and practicing and all that. But no, I've always loved football. Yeah. I love it a great deal. Yeah.
So when you were growing up, did you have any opportunities like kind of similar to FBB, and like were there?
No, we didn't really. No. And it's a shame, you know, because I didn't blame anyone at my school, but it was a very underfunded place. This is in the 1970s, and it was pretty much chaotic. You know, it was like nobody knew what was going on from one day to the next. I remember going in the music department, there were like 4 broken violins and a guitar with no strings on it, and that was about as far as it went. But I was very fortunate, you know, we're talking about culture, art and sport and all these things that can get you into a sort of different state of mind. Fortunately, I fell in with a group of guys who started a band, you know, and that was really what we did on nights off, you know, nights after school. And that really got me out of a situation that was going nowhere. So I was very fortunate in that respect. Football wasn't going to, because I wasn't that good.
But I think what you said there is like, that's kind of what we look to do at FBB. It's like, as I said, you know, we have football in our name, and that's a huge part of what we do, but we're also what we call asset based. So we speak about that a lot. It's about we use the strengths and the passions of young people. So if a young person comes on our program and maybe they're not that into football, but they're really into music, or they're really into drawing, or they're really into recording, or you know getting out there and doing public speaking, it's about us finding opportunities there for them to.
But football is
use
the
that
catalyst to be able to talk,
Exactly.
at least express
Exactly.
yourself in an
100%.
an environment that doesn't feel intimidating, you know,
Exactly.
which is what education. I mean, because I was talking to somebody out there, you know, after school for me was like, do you want to do extra French lessons? It's like, no. You know what I mean? There was no extracurricular.
Yeah.
It was the most boring thing you could imagine. So it's very exciting, this whole process of making football the access to being able to express yourself. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to ask me, girls?
Did you have any like role models in bands that kind of helped you decide that you wanted to be in one?
Yes, that's a very interesting question. Yeah, because I wasn't the greatest singer, and it was just by chance I ended up singing in this band. And in fact, I got sacked for going to football. I was a big Chelsea fan, and they used to rehearse on Saturday afternoons. And they started to realise I was not turning up on a regular basis, and I was like running out of excuses, you know what I mean? My auntie's not well, my cat's died, and then I appeared on Match of the Day. They saw me in the crowd like that, and they went, so they sacked me. And it was a very epochal moment because they played at our local school, and I just suddenly thought I should be up there, not down here. You know, I've ruined it now. But Ian Jury, yeah, who was a singer, around the time that I was starting out, he didn't have a great voice. In fact, he had polio. He had a lot of problems, you know, but he was very inspiring in the fact that he would just perform in his own way and sing about his own life rather than trying to be sort of like some American artist or something. And he was very inspiring, yeah.
So when you were growing up, did you have like a favourite player?
Oh, yes. Alan Hudson from Chelsea, yeah, what a man. I went to the same school as him when I was a kid, and he was one of them, like, it's just like, you know, that natural talent that you're never going to, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? How much training you're going to do, you're never going to be as good as him. But he had a rather unfortunate life, yeah. It's funny because at that time, England didn't really like very creative players. There was a lot of that generation sort of missed out. But yeah, Alan Hudson, yeah.
So, like, why do you think that music and sports is important for, like, young people?
Well, I think they've got a lot of similarities in the fact that you have to do a lot of communicating, you know, like being in a band and being in a sports environment, you know, you have to communicate and you have to work as a team. The band that I was in had 7 people and it was almost like a football team. It was no sort of ego. There was no room for that. You know, you all had to play your part. And I think that's very similar to sport. And it's a very valuable lesson in life, you know, that you're much better off helping other people, you know what I mean? You know, and then they'll help you.
So did you have any teachers at your school that also inspired you?
Not really, no. Unfortunately, as I said, the school that I went to was just a sort of madhouse, you know, and I felt sorry for the teachers.
Why, were you being unruly, Suggs?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, got in with the wrong people, you know, like you do, you know. And I stopped going when I was about 15, I think, 14 or 15. So it's funny, I remember when they brought that sort of Friends Reunited thing, you know, and there was nobody there. None of my class could actually use a computer. You know what I mean?
What was Friends Reunited, sorry?
It was about getting in touch with old people from your school, right?
Yeah.
Before Facebook and all that.
Existed, yeah.
But none of them were on there.
So no one was on
I don't think any of them use a computer even to this day.
I see.
But, you know, as I say, it was one of them things. It was very underfunded, you know, and it's just everybody in that school was kind of angry. And we talked before about there just wasn't any encouragement. You know, the teachers seemed angry, and so they just sort of lay that on you, you know, and vice versa. So it was a very, you know, inhospitable environment.
Because, like, you're saying that you didn't have any teachers who were, like, encouraging you and inspiring you. Did you have, like, any family members that, like, gave you more confidence in, like, hard times?
Gosh, crikey, that's a question. I'd love to say yes.
Great interviewers, right?
This is getting epic.
Yeah.
This is getting like the Today programme on Radio 4. No, well, you know, they weren't all bad. But I can't say there was anyone really extraordinarily encouraging in my life. No, not really, to be honest. I mean, in my family, I mean, it's a long story, you know. I'm not going to bore you all. My dad was an heroin addict and he died, and la la la. My mum was whatever, and it was just all complete chaos. I went to live with my aunt in Wales, and she was getting divorced. It was just like this constant sea of like, what have I done now? But I was very fortunate, as I said. I met the band, and we all came from the same sort of background. We were all from single parent families and all a bit knackered, you know, emotionally. But funnily enough, the band itself and you know, what you're doing, I think this whole process of communicating with each other, and we kind of, it was almost like a group therapy as we went on. We sort of grew as human beings because we were in such close proximity for so long. And that was the saviour of my life.
That's amazing. Can I just pick up on something you said? Because you spoke about group therapy there, and it made me think that one element of the sort of programme that we haven't discussed yet is that we do also have sort of like a therapeutic approach as well. Both in our group sessions, we'd like to be therapeutically informed, but we also have a team of incredible we call them therapeutic wellbeing practitioners who will work one-on-one with some of the young people we work with.
So how does that actually physically work?
Well, so the way it works is that within our program, we've got the way it works is that a few people on each program, when they're in their first year of the FBB cycle anyway, I think it's about 5, will get to work one-on-one with someone who is therapeutic wellbeing practitioner. So give that kind of one-to-one support with things, whether it's around mental health or growing confidence and stuff like that. And I know that it's just you that's been working with Karima, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you could speak about kind of the impact that Karima's had, or a little bit about the work that you've done there.
Yeah, so she takes me out of like a lesson. We do like a session every week, and then I'd say at the moment we're focusing a lot on like mental health and how you can like improve it and how you can help yourself in certain situations. But then also I'd say that she helps with like confidence and like kind of like getting yourself out there in a way, and like helping yourself to like be more confident with like talking to people and all stuff like that. But we do lots of different activities, but then also she likes to say that it's like completely up to me, which I'd say makes it kind of like a free space and like very comfortable, which like helps a lot, I'd say.
Yeah, right. No, I went to therapy for a bit. Very difficult period of my life. And that was the great thing, the person I was talking to. It was the first time in my life I was talking to someone who was listening to me. And that's exactly what he said. I said, you know, when will I be out of here? He said, look, mate, I can't cure you. I can just show you what might be going wrong in your mind, and then it's going to be up to you. And I remember I was there for a while. I can't remember how many times I went there, but I said, well, when is it going to be over? He said, well, now, because you just asked me.
Yeah.
And he'd helped me so far along the road at that point that he just felt I was ready to carry on with my life. Well, thank you very much, girls, and thank you very much, Tom, for joining me today, Lottie and Lowrie. And to find out more about Horizons, just visit horizonscharity.org or follow them on socials. Thank you for watching.